In this episode of Restore It, we continue making slow but steady progress on the workshop. I'm currently moving house to be closer to the workshop, so progress isn't as good as it could be, but we're almost there. The first thing I wanted to get started was installing the new lights. I thought for some time about how to hang the LED panels, and settled on 2 pieces of steel wire that spanned the width of the room, held in place with eye hooks. With the first row in place and using more panels than I planned, I gave it a test. Pretty much instant light and easily 10 times brighter than before. The old fluorescents finally catch up and some just don't even come on. So I'm definitely going to be needing a lot more LED panels and maybe some adjustable spotlights for areas not easily accessible like around the car lift. Next up was to remove the second row of old lights, which meant turning off the electric, cutting the wires and opening the chains that held them in place. For the start of the second row, we made a wooden frame to hold 3 panels in front of the car lift, but out of the way of the lifted car. I think I'm going to attach LEDs directly to the roof above the car lift area to make sure it's light enough there too. I'm going to hire a scissor lift to make that possible and the rest of the job faster once I have all the panels I need. The next thing in the workshop I could make immediate progress on was the spray booth. But before we continue, I want to quickly thank Blinkist for sponsoring this episode. Reading books is great, but some of the books I want to read are simply too long to get through in good time with my busy schedule. This is why I use and recommend Blinkist. It's a fantastic app that takes the most important information from some of the best-selling books and condenses them into 15 minutes that you can either read or listen to. For someone looking to learn, I think this might be one of the best apps out there at the moment. 2 of my favourite reads so far have been The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey and Extreme Productivity by Robert Pozen. They have loads of top-selling books ready to absorb in just 15 minutes. If that sounds good, head over to blinkist.com/restore it or click the link in the description below. The first 100 people to click can try Blinkist for 7 days completely free, and if you don't want to continue, you can cancel at any time. Plus, as a Restore It viewer, you'll get 25% off if you decide you want the full membership. So if you'd like to support Restore It, this is one of the best ways to do so. Just download the app and check it out. Thanks to Blinkist for partnering up, let's get back to the workshop. I wanted to change the filters as the old ones were full of dust, and to do that I had to undo the frames that held them in place. I used this paint arrestor filter that I got from Spray Guns Direct, as it's great for either inlet or outlet purposes. I used the old ones to make sure I had enough and as a template for the new ones. Before I fitted the new filters, I wanted to remove all of the dust in the booth which had built up over time. I turned on the extractor and used a carpet cleaner air tool to lift the dust into the air where it would then be extracted out. With that done, I could then add the new filters, 2 of which were fitted the wrong way round, which I will fix before I start painting. And with those in place, we could then focus on removing the rest of the leftover flooring from the edges and finishing the plasterboard inside the spray booth. I found a roll of this cardboard filter stuff around the back, and so bought the wood to make a frame for the final filter. I used an oscillating tool to cut away the rest of the floor that was protruding into the booth. The final pieces of plasterboard were installed before I cleaned the floor in preparation for the epoxy. I cleaned the floor thoroughly and taped an edge line at the door. I bought a 5 kg 2-pack epoxy kit that covered 20 meters squared, 4 meters squared per kilogram, plenty for this booth. First I had to mix the two parts together for at least 5 minutes. My drill really didn't like this and started to plume smoke, so I gave it a rest and then completed the 5 minutes going at the fastest speed possible. I watched a few videos on how to do this properly, and although I wasn't going for a perfect finish, just something that would reflect light, I still tried my best to do it like the pros. As I started to pour it down and spread it out, it wasn't spreading like I thought it was going to. I did my best to spread it as far as I could, but this is all I got out of it. I think the floor and air were way too cold, which of course is quite an important thing to consider when doing something like this. So my mistake, and I've ordered another kit to complete the job next episode. Once the little bit that was there was dry, I started sealing the seams in the plasterboard with acrylic sealant. And once that was dry, I began painting the walls white to make it even brighter. As I'd been moving house all week, it was a Sunday and I'd just run out of white paint with nowhere to get any more. Thankfully, this is the last of the big personal stuff that I have to deal with, and I can now focus completely on the workshop and the channel. Next episode, this will be finished, wall lights and all. I think I'm going to add LED tube lights to the roof instead of these old fluorescents. Before I go, I want to quickly tell you about a few things and also say a big thank you to Sabi for donating his old parts from a project gone wrong. This is pretty much everything I need for the chassis I have outside, which by the way is just a 325i Sport, not an Allrad. I'm not sure why that Allrad sticker is on there, but the VIN tells a very different story. Sabi started a 4-door project and got the car down to the chassis, at which point he realised it wasn't worth saving and had to abandon the project. Life plans changed and he found himself moving to Hungary. Shipping all of these parts would have cost a fair bit, and with an E30 waiting for him in Hungary, he decided to give them to me to benefit other E30s. Very kind of him indeed, cheers to Sabi. Also, as some of you may have seen, I'm looking for help on the channel from someone who knows about and is passionate about classic car restoration. Now that I'm back in the UK, I have people coming to me with their cars for work. This Mercedes is the first one, and I'll soon be making a short series showing all the work carried out on it. I just first need to find some good help. And finally, a quick update on the 325i Sport. There were delays due to the obvious, but the pre-facelift quarter panels have finally been made by E30 Garage Norway, which by the way he has in stock now, and will be on their way to Spain along with the tail panel and side skirts for final welding and a full respray, at which point the car will come back to me in the UK for a full rebuild. I seriously look forward to getting that project done and back on the road. Next episode is going to be the start of the M40 engine series, and that Mercedes will be coming soon. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.